Wait, the stream is live now. I'm gonna make you host back again.
All right, good, thanks.
Welcome.
Hi, Tom.
Oh, hi, Wade.
Hey, good afternoon. Or morning, depending on where you are.
Good afternoon, Wade.
Hey, Dolores, how are you?
Hi. Okay, and you?
Oh, I'm doing great, thanks. Hey, Terry, you're back.
I wish I could say that.
Back
I
again.
gotta go to cancer surgery tomorrow.
Oh, no, well, our prayers are with you.
Thank you.
Hi, Emily. Let's see who else is here. Hi, Cheryl.
Hi, Wade.
Hi.
Welcome.
Oh, to Sarah.
Yep, good to see you. All right. Who else is here? See, Eva, can you hear me?
Yes,
Oh, hi, welcome.
thank you. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful, thanks. Okay, and we'll see. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Wade?
Oh, it's a beautiful day in North Carolina. A little cool, but that's okay.
We've got snow.
Oh, you got it cooler than I have then. Where are you in Michigan?
Yes.
Really?
Let's see. And
It's warm and very warm in New York, unlike last week where it was very cold.
it's that time of year, isn't it?
Yes,
Hey, welcome, Kathleen. Good to
Thank
see you.
thank you.
I'm in Pittsburgh and we're getting frost warnings and maybe an inch of snow
Oh,
for
yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah, the snow hasn't actually come yet in Detroit, but they say it's on its way, maybe up to
Mhm.
2 to 3 inches. So,
Oh,
we're coming toward Pittsburgh, New York, and all those.
Thank you so much.
The
Oh,
snow
good.
has started here. I'm in the south of Detroit.
Now it's already
Okay.
started.
It started here, yeah.
Okay.
We got the snow coming and they're
I'm
uh,
in
at the same time.
Yeah, it seems too late to be having snow
Belleville,
day.
Illinois.
Deborah, Pittsburgh's my second home. I lived there about 12 years, so.
What neighborhood?
I'm in Belleville, Illinois, and we supposed to get some about 4 o'clock this evening.
Wow, everybody's
Hmm.
getting snow.
Wade, what neighborhood did you live in?
Started out in Green Tree and then moved to Mount Lebanon.
Aha. I'm in Shaler,
Okay.
through a tunnel and over 2 rivers.
Yes, indeed. Went through that
Now
tunnel and over
one
the
river, I
spot.
guess, yeah.
Let's see. Hey, Deborah, good to see you there. Yeah, there's Josie.
Hey, babe. How are you?
Let's see who else has come in here. Pam, you hear me? There you are. Hey, welcome, Pam. And I see Leslie's here.
Hey there.
Hi, welcome. A good group assembling here. I'm I've got one other person coming in. We'll let them come in, then I'll start getting some of the housekeeping things out of the way. Got some more people coming in.
Want to put this one goes around it here.
Okay, so somebody just came in as iPad. If you want me to rename you, I can. Okay, and there's Margaret. And hey, Tagar.
How you doing?
Great, good to see you again. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started with some housekeeping here. Give people a couple more minutes to get in. We usually take the first 4 to 5 minutes to allow people to come in, and we're about at that point. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So everyone should see my slides there now. And I've got your pictures over here on my side monitor, so I can see you over here. All right, there we go. Just check a couple more people out that came in that I saw come through. Was it oh, Joyce? Sorry. Hi, Joyce. Good to see you. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and mute everyone, and we'll remute if we have any background noise or echoes or anything else. So be sure to check and see if you're muted before you ask your question or make your comment. And if you are, just unmute and go ahead and ask your question. You don't need to raise your hand or anything, just unmute and ask away. I've also opened up the chat as well. So if anyone's having problems with your microphone or needs to reach us through the chat for whatever reason, that is now open. Max from our Get Set Up TA group is here helping me with the chat today. So he will be monitoring that as well, just to make sure we don't miss anything. But if your microphone is working, do just go ahead and ask your question out loud. That way everyone else can hear your question and I'll hear it and can get you a timely answer as well. All right, so I think that gets the housekeeping things out of the way. Let's go ahead and get started. This is Google Slides Basics, and I hope you are all enjoy the class. Thanks for coming. My name is Wade Yarbrough, and I'll be the guide for the session today. A little bit about me. I'm from a small town called Mason, Tennessee. That's in West Tennessee, close to Memphis. I say I grew up in Mayberry, town of 500 people. So it was a small rural town, cotton picking town. I grew up picking cotton. I have a PhD in psychology and taught psychology both early in my career and late in my career. But through the middle of my career, most of my time was spent installing, designing, training users on healthcare information systems. So I've done a lot of adult training in my life. And I love teaching with Get Set Up because I get to teach people that are in the class because they want to be in the class. They're interested in the topic, not because their employer made them take the class. And that's what we do try to do at Get Set Up, is to create an environment where you can learn about things you want to learn about, along with other people that are interested in the same topic. So you can interact with those other learners as well as interacting with the guide. So it's a nice, comfortable, interactive environment. The session is being recorded, and any participant can request a copy of that recording. It's a great way to go back and review something you may have missed, or just to look at the whole thing again. To do that, just send an email to help@getsetup.io. Be sure to include the name of the class and the date attended. And I'm going to put that in the chat as well, in case you don't already have that email address in your email contacts. You can go ahead and copy that off the chat window. We are also live streaming the class today, so I do want to welcome anyone joining us via live stream. Thanks for coming. Hope you enjoy the class as well. But I do want to remind you that the only way to get that full Get Set Up experience is to go to our website and register for a class. That way you can interact with the other learners and to ask questions of the guide. And finally, Google doesn't pay us to promote products. We don't promote any of the products we train on. We are purely trainers. Right. So with that, let's take a look at the agenda for today. We're going to talk about how Google Slides compares to PowerPoint slides, PowerPoint presentations. Assumption is that most people have maybe a passing experience with Microsoft, so we'll draw a number of parallels between the two. Microsoft PowerPoint is the predominant tool for creating slides. We'll show you how to create a new slide from scratch or how to create a slide from a template. We'll show you how to edit, format, insert information into slides, animate a slide, and then how to import a PowerPoint slide into Google Slides, work on it, and also how to export from Google Slides to PowerPoint. So a lot to cover today. Let's get started. So there are some related classes that you might be interested in. Introduction to Google Apps covers all the different Google apps available. I'll point those out in a couple of minutes. Google Docs, Google Sheets. So we cover all three of the main Google Office products, as well as a great class, creating collaboration using Google Tools, which shows you how to share and collaborate with Google, and all the Google Office products allow you to collaborate. So I'll probably reference those classes several times during the class. So first, how do I get access to Google Slides? Well, you have to have a Google account. Not surprising if you don't already have a Google account. We'll talk about that in a minute. But that class, Introduction to Google Apps, goes into a lot of more detail on creating a Google account. If you're having any problem getting your account created, you can take that class and they'll walk you through the whole process. There's two ways to access Google Slides, like all the other Google Office products. You can access it from a browser, which is nice. You can access it from any device that will support a browser and from any browser. That's what we're going to be using today in class. And that is the way to get the full functioning version of Google Slides. You can also download the app and put it on your smartphone or tablet and connect that way. You just have to download it and then log in with your Google account. But the app is not the full functioning version. There's some things you can only do on the browser, and the navigation and the screen layouts are going to be different between the browser and the smart phone or tablet version. So if you're trying to follow along, it's better to follow along on the browser than on the app. All right, so any questions about any of that background material? And again, if you have questions as we're going through, please do just unmute yourself and ask your questions. So we're going to narrow this down. And
It's Kathleen, and I'm still unclear between the browser and the other edition. I mean, if I were using one or using the other, what would I do?
Okay, we're going to show you how to use the browser version, since that is the version that I'm recommending, especially for slides.
So
Get the
how
app.
do you get to the browser version rather than the other version?
I'm going to show you right now.
Oh, good. Okay, fine.
All right, and for the other one, like on your smartphone, you would just go to the App Store and look up Google Slides and download the app and install it like any other app. Is the app version. But for the browser version, just go to any device that will support a browser. It could be a tablet, it could be a laptop, it could be a desktop, it could be a Mac, and just open a browser window and type in www.google.com like I've done here. It'll bring you to this page. If you don't have a Google account, there'll be something here that'll say sign up or create account. I forget exactly the wording, it changes, but and you can go in and go through the process of creating an account. It is a free account, very simple to create. You don't have to put in a lot of information. Once you have created your account, you'll need to log in. And if you're not logged in, there'll be a control here that says log in. And you would click that to sign into Google. Once you're signed in, it's going to look like this. It'll have your picture or just your initials if you haven't created a picture yet. That's your Google account. This is your profile. If you click that, it'll show you the account you're logged in with. You can have more than one Google account. You can have as many Google accounts as you want. I'm using 2 right now. I've got my work account and my personal account. So I can toggle back and forth. If I want to add one of my other accounts, I can add them from here as well. Okay. And the way you actually get into the Google Apps is through this icon here. When I hover over it, it says Google Apps. This is often called the waffle. It looks like a round waffle. If you click that, it shows you all the apps available with your Google account. That class I mentioned, Introduction to Google Apps, goes over all these different apps, tells you what they are, what you would use them for, as well as helping you get logged in if you're having any problems. So that's a good class to kind of get the overview of everything Google does. But for today, we're just going to worry about Google Slides, and it's right here. Again, if you wanted to install the app, you would go to the App Store and look for this icon. Search for Google Slides, but sometimes it's easier to find it by the icon than it is from the name. That's what it looks like. I'm going to click that, and that takes me to the Google Slides homepage here. All right. So from the home page, I'm going to widen this up a little bit. You can see there's two sections to the home page. The top section is shaded. This is where you can start a new presentation. Two ways to do that. You can start with a blank presentation, or you can open a template. If I do a blank one, it's going to do just that. It opens a presentation with nothing at all in there. I'm going to click here to go back to home. So any time you're on a different screen, if you're in a presentation, you can just click here to go back home again. The other way is to open up a template. I'll open a template as kind of a, for instance, this is a recipe book template. So if you wanted to create a presentation with all of your recipes in there, you can open a template like this. And what it does, it has lots of different fonts and colors and sizes and different layouts. So you can have a layout where you have your recipe's name and then the ingredients and preparations over here, along with some pictures of your recipes. Here's a different one that has the recipe in a different format. So that's kind of what templates are. They just show you different ways. But if I wanted to use this, I would just click on here and start putting in my my recipe name and put in my ingredients and put in the preparation, etc. I'm going to click one thing with a if you download a template, it's basically taking that template and creating a presentation for you. You're not really editing the template, you're editing a copy of the template. It gives your presentation the same name as the template, but you probably want to relabel this. So I may want to call this Wade's Recipes, whatever I want to call it. When I'm finished or when I'm done for now, I can just click the slides home. You'll notice I don't need to click save. There is no save. You don't save in Google. I just click home. And here's that presentation that I started at 1:47 right now.
Now, is there some, maybe it's just me, but this is like 3/4 of the screen, and at the left, there's a little thing that says start a new presentation. Am I not doing something right so that I have a full screen?
Oh, well, these are the slides. This is really my cheat sheet.
Okay.
This is what, and this is the actual what the Google looks like. So this is the Google Slides window. This is a separate window that has my presentation on it.
Oh, okay. All right.
My cheat sheets.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
this is what you would see, is just this part.
Well,
I've got this so I
okay.
can see my cheat sheet.
Okay. All right. I'm as I said, I'm seeing the 3/4 screen, which I wasn't used to. So I was trying to find out if I was doing something wrong.
Nope, you're not doing anything wrong at all. That's kind of the way we're doing it. So you can follow along in my slides here, but also see the main thing here. I'm just going to touch this template gallery up here. We kind of showed you what a template is. These are all the templates out there, and there are a lot of different templates depending on what you're trying to do. If you want to create a photo album, you've taken a vacation and you want to do a presentation of pictures from your vacation, you can use the photo album. We did the recipe one. You can set up, you can do birthday invitations. Lots of different things you can do. So you can look through these later on your own time and see what they are. But lots of times, especially if you're new, it's good to start with a template instead of having to figure it all out from scratch. So once you create a presentation like we just did with Wade's recipes, they are in this lower section. So these are all the different presentations that I have access to. There's several ways to manage this list. Initially, it's going to be just a few, but over time, there could be dozens or even hundreds of presentations. So you want to be able to manage them. One way is by who owns them. Right now, I'm filtering it just to show me ones that are owned by me. I could say owned by anyone, and that's going to show me ones that are owned by me. Also, those that are owned by someone else. So Carly Pullen owns this one. She shared it with me, so I can access this presentation. This little icon here indicates that it's a shared presentation. Here's another one that someone else owns that I have access to. Here's one that I own, but I've shared it with somebody else. So it can kind of work either way. You can look at not owned by me, which just shows me the ones that are shared with me. So 3 ways to filter it. I usually filter it just by owned by me, because that's what I'm typically working on. You can also sort the list. And here's the sort icon. This tells you how it's currently sorted. Right now it's sorted by last opened by me, but I can sort it by last modified by me, last modified by anyone if it's a shared document, or I can sort it by title. So it'll show me everything in alphabetical order by title. I'm going to put it back to last opened by me. Questions about creating and managing? We're going to show you how to edit slides in a minute, but okay. All right.
The AZ is what again? What is that?
It sorts the list.
Oh, ports. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. That's kind of his A to Z, because that's one of the options is to sort it by title. But yeah. So those are your short sorting options. Okay. So I'm going to go back to Wade's recipes for a minute, and we're going to talk about managing slides. We're just going to go back into this one that's a fairly simple one. And one thing you want to do is to add a new slide. And so you basically show Google where you want to put that slide. So maybe I want to put another slide right here. And I can click here where it says add a new slide.
Okay.
And it creates a blank slide for me to start working on.
What if you want to click something that has a template that has like 3 or 4 photographs? How do you find that?
So that would be part of the template. Now you can, if I click this little arrow beside the plus, it lets me pick different types of slides, a title slide. So it would copy one that looks like that. Or if you wanted one that has 2 columns, let's like pick this one. So it creates one that has 2 different columns in it. So there are different slide designs that you could, so you can pick one of these.
Okay, all right.
Now, the other thing you can do is, let's say I'm doing my recipes and I've done a recipe and I like this format, but I want to do another one. I can just right click on that slide that I want and I can duplicate it. So if I say duplicate, it now makes another copy of it. And so now this one I can change to be whatever the next thing is I'm going to be making. French toast. And now I've got pancakes and French toast. This is obviously a breakfast themed. And then I put in the ingredients. So lots of times you're going to be making a lot of slides that are basically in the same template look alike, but you're going to change the contents So that's how you can just take one and duplicate it. I may want to also have a copy that has the same pictures. So I could do that one and make a copy of that. All right. All right, I'm good. If there's no questions, I'm going to keep going. We're going to get into changing the contents in a few minutes. We're just talking about some of the basic things first. Okay.
Is there some way of putting text into it that doesn't, where the template doesn't have text?
Yes, you can. Let me go back into here. Let's go into one of these. You can just keep adding. So preparation, if I may want to have something down here that says special notes. So I can just keep adding. And so now I've put special notes, and then.
How about if there isn't a box there? How do you add text?
We'll get into some of that in a few minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. You can do that. All right. I'm gonna go back and see what else I want to do right before we. Like, there was one thing I wanted to do before we get too much further down. So I talked about how you can manage this list. There's also things you can do with the different recipes. And you'll notice that beside each one, there's a triple dot. So if I click on that triple dot, I can rename the recipes. So I may want to make this Wade's breakfast recipes. I can just do that from here. I can delete it if I don't want that anymore, or I can open it in another tab. It's one of the nice things about working in a browser. I'm going to click that. And so it's now opened a separate tab. Now my breakfast recipe presentation is in this tab. My Google Slides home is still open in this tab. So you can have multiple tabs open. I find this useful if I'm going to be copying things from one presentation to another presentation. Maybe I'm going to do Wade's lunch recipes, but I want to copy a lot of this over, so I can just do that. One reason why you might want to have different ones open at the same time. If I just click on the slide, it'll open it in the same tab. So it's going to replace the home with the recipes. So now I've got two tabs with different recipes in them. So that's the difference there. If you want to open in a different tab, come over here, open a new tab. If I want to open in the same tab, just click on the name. I'm going to close that down. Right. There's one last thing here that I can do. And this is this last icon on the screen we haven't talked about yet on the home screen. And this says Open File Picker, which isn't very explanatory, but what this does, it lets me access something that I haven't already accessed. These are all the things that I either created myself or somebody shared it with me so I can access it. But there's times I may have something that I want to pull off of a thumb drive or something I downloaded from the internet. This lets me go get something else. And I'm going to click on it. And it first opens in Google Drive. This is Google. And so everything you're working on is in Google Drive. So there may be somewhere, I have a folder somewhere else out here with something I want to bring in. I can also get something off of my device. So anytime in Google you see the word upload, that means go and get something that's not in Google Drive. So I'm going to click this one and select the file from your device. So this is going to let me go pull something from my device. I'm working on a Windows laptop, so it opens File Explorer. And I can pull something off of my device from my downloads or from my documents or from anything else I can get to from here. This is OneDrive, which is Google's equivalent of Google Drive. This is the cloud storage drive for Microsoft. I'm going to go into here, which is the college where I was teaching a class, where I've got some slides. Here's all my lecture slides. So if I want to open one of these slides, presentations, this is a PowerPoint presentation. So what I'm going to do is take that PowerPoint presentation, import it into Google Drive, and convert it to a Google Slides presentation. To do that, all I have to do is just select what I want to import and click open. It's now uploading it into Google Drive. It's a big presentation. It takes a little while to upload it. And there it is. So here's what was a PowerPoint presentation. It is now a Google Slide presentation. I can go in and edit this one just as if I created it myself here. Questions about bringing PowerPoint presentations into Google?
Can we see it again?
So I'm going to go back to home. Didn't save anything, but here it is. So here's the one I brought in. Again, to bring something in from outside, you just click on this icon here. It looks like a file folder, which says I'm going and getting it from one of my file folders from somewhere other than this list. And what I do next depends on where it's living. If it's living in Google Drive, I can just come here and get it from Google Drive. But if it's somewhere else, and that's the more common scenario, it's something on my computer that I downloaded from the internet or that somebody emailed to me or however I got it, click upload. Upload always means pull it off of your device. So I click upload, and then you click here where it says select a file from your device. You can also drag and drop, but I think this is easier. So I click that little blue bar, and now I'm back at my device. So if there's something in my downloads folder, I can open that. Now it has to be a PowerPoint presentation. So here's another PowerPoint presentation. I could open that one and bring it in. Okay. I'm not going to bring that one in. So I'm just going to back out of this. Okay.
It has to be a PowerPoint presentation to bring it in to the slide?
Yes, I think that's the only one that it converts over.
Okay.
There are some.
So you can't just upload a picture from the photos or whatever and put it on the slide. You have to convert it to a PowerPoint first.
You can bring in, I'll show you how to do that. You can bring in pictures.
Okay.
This is just an entire presentation. It's main way this is used to convert something from PowerPoint into Google. Yeah. All right, so let's actually go in and start working on something. And we've spent a lot of time talking about the files and managing things, but that's an important part of it. But let's open one of these presentations. I'm going to open this one. And these are all the slides in the presentation. There's two ways to look at the list of slides. One is, which is the default, is called the film strip view. It's this icon down here. So you're seeing them like a movie film strip is why it calls it that. So you can come down, pick the one you want to work on, and go in and edit, modify that slide. The other one is called the grid view, and it shows them this way. Two different ways to look at it. This one is handy if you're going to be moving slides around. Maybe I want to take this slide and put it somewhere else. I can just grab it and move it down here and rearrange it. So by this view, you can see more at a time. You can also rearrange from this view. I would just take a slide and move it up where I want to put it and drop it. And now I've moved the slide to be between these other two slides. Two other things you can do. You can go to a slide and let's say for whatever reason, when I'm presenting this presentation, I don't want to show this slide. So I can just come over here and right click and say skip slide. And it puts this little eyeball with a slash through it, meaning that people aren't going to see this slide when I'm doing my presentation. If I want to bring it back for the next time I present it, I can just right click and click skip slide again. And now it's showing the slide again. If it has the eyeball with the slash through it, it means that it's still in my presentation. I just don't show it. And lots of times people tailor their presentation when they're doing it. Maybe they only have 15 minutes instead of 30. So they got to go in and drop some slides. So you don't want to delete the slides. You don't want to move them down to the end. You just skip them. And then next time, if you want them, you just bring them back. And now they'll see that slide. So the way you edit and work on slides is using the menu toolbar, which is this up here. If I've used PowerPoint, it's the same as the ribbon in PowerPoint. It looks and works the same way. I think it's a little cleaner and easier to use actually than the PowerPoint ribbon, but it's got tabs just like PowerPoint does. So here's all the file related commands. Here's all the editing commands, view commands, insert commands, etc. So if you wanted to do something, we'll come into here later and insert some different things. You just click on that tab and it shows you all the commands available. One thing I like about the Google format is it also has this shortcut bar down here, which shows you most of the things you're typically going to be doing. And it changes, you'll notice, depending on where I'm clicking. So when I've clicked on a slide, it gives me one set of options. If I click into the slide, it gives me different options. So it gives me the appropriate options for editing versus moving slides around. You'll also notice in this case, it's got a triple dot. Anytime you see a triple dot, click on it. In this case, there's one thing that's missing. What happens is if you change your slide size, it takes the ones that won't fit and does the triple bar and it puts them down below. If I widen my slides out enough, it'll show everything. So now there's no triple dot. So it's showing me all the options. You can also have speaker notes, and that's down here in this section, down below the slide itself. So if I want to have notes to myself, and I can make this larger or smaller. So this is where you can put speaker's notes. So these don't show when you're presenting. There may be things you just want to remember about the slide when you're prepping for the presentation. But that's what this is down at the bottom, is speaker notes.
Do you have to activate the speaker notes or they're there automatically?
It's there automatically. Yeah, we're going to insert a new slide in a minute and work on it. And this section will be here. It'll be empty, but this area will be down here where you can enter some notes if you want to put some notes. Okay.
How do you see the speaker notes again? What do you have to do?
Well, they're here. What I did is I can make it bigger and smaller. If I want to read the notes, I can make this bigger so I can see the notes. And then when I'm done, if I want to see the slide bigger so I can work on the slide, I can kind of push the notes out of the way. So that's what you're doing. You're just dragging that bottom of the slide up and down.
Wait, this is Emily. So when you wrote the notes, when you give the presentation, the viewer cannot see it. Only you can read it?
Yes, in fact, and depending on how you're presenting, you can't see it either in most cases. It's more just for when you're prepping for your presentation, you'll glance at your slides and remind you, what you wanted to say on that slide.
That's a good idea.
But yeah, the people in the audience can't see the speaker notes. They're just
great. Thank you.
Close this a little bit. All right, let's move on. All right. So let's go back in and add a slide and show you kind of how that part works. So I'm going to come here and I want to add a slide. And I want it to be just a standard format. So I'm going to select this one. So now I created a new slide. It came after the title slide before what was the first slide in the presentation. It has, pre-formatted with a title up here and then the content down here at the bottom. And you see down here where it says click to add speaker notes. There's my speaker notes section, so I can put my notes in here if I have any. You don't have to have speaker notes. This is consciousness. So if you're talking about consciousness, you're talking about Freud. So maybe you want to have a slide about Freud. And I can just come here and start entering information. Whatever I'm going to enter. So you can enter your information. Editing the information in here is similar to pretty much anywhere else. I'm going to widen this out a little bit so I can see. And again, I got my triple dot, which shows me there's more things I can do depending on what I'm working on. So like if I wanted to use bullet points here, I can do bullet points is what you do a lot. So you keep adding. And there's different formats for the bullet points. I can have it be, and if I want to indent this, so this is a sub point to this point, you just click the tab on the left-hand side of your keyboard and it indents it. Again, I can change the format to where everything has little stars. So lots of different choices about it. If I want it to be a numbered list instead of a bulleted list, I can have it be numbered. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time about text since text works like it does anywhere else. Let's see. You can copy and paste just like you can anywhere else. I can copy that and come down here and paste it. And with Google, you have to use the keyboard shortcuts, but it tells you what they are. So if I want to paste it, it's Control V. So I'm going to do a Control V and paste it. So you can copy, you can paste, do all the formatting, change the fonts, change the font sizes. If I want to make this be larger, I can just make it enlarge this text size. Now let's say I want to add an image. Somebody was asking about this earlier.
Yes.
All right, so let's go up here and insert image. And I've gotten a lot of options about how to get the image I want to load. So let's say I want to get a picture of Freud and I don't have a picture of Freud. I can search the web. And I can just put Freud here and search for Freud. And there's lots of pictures of Freud. This is kind of one of the most famous ones, so I'll grab that one and just say insert. And there's my picture, and maybe I want to have Freud up here at the top. So I'll just move this up here, resize it. I could also move this box with the text in it down a little bit so it fits. There it goes. Everything fits together, looks nice. So that's how you can go out to the web and grab something. If I've got something in my Google Photos, again, Google makes it easy to use Google Photos. So I click here and it shows me things I have in my Google Photos. So I'll grab a picture of my dog instead, so I don't have a picture of Freud. But again, it brings this in. Again, I can resize it and put it over here in this corner maybe. If I want to pull something off of my device instead of out of Google Photos, if you don't use Google Photos, you can do that. Remember, I said anytime you see the word upload, that means go pull it from your device. So it actually says upload from computer here. It makes it even a little more clear what you're doing. Click upload from computer, and now it takes me to File Explorer. If you're using Windows, if you're using a Mac, it would take you to Mac Finder, where you can go and find pictures. I use an iPhone. So here's my iCloud photos from my iPhone. So I can go and grab something from here and open it. And it's gonna upload that from my device. And now I've got that picture that I can resize and put over here in this corner, etc. So very easy to bring in pictures and lots of different ways to go and find pictures. Questions about pictures? Oops. Okay, I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit because we've got a few other things I want to show you. Videos are, again, are very common. And I think I've got one already in here. How I in the past have normally done my videos is just to insert them. So like here, this is a link to a video. So if I click this, it would actually open it in YouTube and play the video from YouTube. So I would open this to be full screen and show it. And then when I'm done, I would delete it and I'd be back on my slide where I was. As an alternative, you can, and let's put in a new slide. So I'm going to click here and put in a new slide. You can do what's called an inline video. So I'm going to insert and video. And since YouTube is owned by Google, it makes it easy to find something. So I can look for a Freud video again. So I'll search for Freud. It takes me right to YouTube, and I can look through all the different YouTube videos out there about Freud and grab the one that I want. I'll click on this one and click select. And it brings that back into my slide. I can resize it, but now when I click on it, it shows it in my presentation as opposed to opening a separate tab with YouTube.
Can you describe that again, please? I mean, you don't have to show me how you got it. What is it actually doing? You said it's showing in the presentation.
Yeah, so if I'm presenting this presentation, it would be here in my slide. I'm already presenting, so I can't present within a presentation. I don't think it'll let me do it. Let me try this. Can you see that? Okay, all right. So if you're doing your presentation, you can just click here and it's going to just show it in your presentation. And then I go to my next slide in my presentation. Whereas the other one, it actually opens in a separate tab. So that's the difference. This is called inline. And again, we'll do insert video. So this is inserting it. And the other was just typing in the URL, and it would link to that URL. All right, let me go. And for time's sake, because we are just about out of time, I'm going to go next to taking this presentation we've done. So we've now created a presentation, and but we want to convert it to PowerPoint. So I showed you how to take a PowerPoint, convert it to a slides presentation. Now I've got my slide presentation, but a friend of mine teaches the same class, but they don't use Google, they use PowerPoint. So they say, could you give me a copy of your slide presentation, but do it in a PowerPoint format? So to do that, I would click File.
Yeah.
And then Download. And then here, Microsoft PowerPoint. So you can download it. Now you can download it into some other formats.
Oh, so
ODT.
wait a minute. So you're saying you hit download and then another window opens and it's Microsoft PowerPoint.
Uh-huh.
File,
Let me come back.
download.
So okay, File, Download, and then Microsoft PowerPoint.
Okay.
Now you could also
Wade?
make a PDF. I do PDFs when I give copies to my students. I do it as a PDF. So you got several other options, but this is how you can convert it to PowerPoint. Yep.
Okay.
Great, Joyce.
Excuse me, Wade. When you send the PowerPoint, if it's too many pictures, you will accept to send it out with the.
Okay, let me finish. I'm not going to send it. Okay, hang on. I think this will, let me finish it. And I think it'll answer your question, Emily. So I'm going to just click PowerPoint presentation. I haven't clicked it yet. I was kind of showing you the other options.
Yeah.
But I'm going to pick the PowerPoint option. And what it's doing now, it pops this up and says, do I want to save it to a file or do I want to open it in PowerPoint? I could do either, but what I want to do is save a copy because a friend of mine wants a copy of this presentation. So I'm just going to take the default, which is save to file. I say okay. And what it's going to do is download that file and it's going to put it in my downloads folder on my computer. And so here it is right there. You can see it's in PowerPoint format. It's that consciousness lecture we just did, 4:20 at 2:20 in the Eastern time. So now I could take this file and put it on a thumb drive and hand it to her, email it to her, however she wants me to send her this, what is now a PowerPoint lecture instead of a Google presentation, Google Slides presentation. Now, the other thing I can do from here as well is that maybe I show this presentation and somebody else wants a copy of it. It's a great presentation, but they do use Google. So what I can do there is to share it with them. So I can click share. And all I have to do is put that person's email in here. And it's Michelle Yarber that wants a copy of it. If they're in your contacts, it'll pop up. If not, just type in the full email address. Here I can just click it instead of typing the whole thing in. I can add more people. If there's 3 people that want a copy, I can put 3 here. Then I can decide what I want them to be able to do. Do I want them to be able to edit my document? So maybe this is a co-teacher or a student teacher that's working with me. So I want them to be able to edit it. But if it's just somebody that wants a copy for themselves, I would make them a viewer so they can look at it. It's view only. They can't mess up my slides. So that's the safer way to share something.
What is that? What's the icon called? It's a specific
Share.
icon? Share. Okay.
Up in the upper right.
Right.
And then I can type a message here. And then just hit send. And this will send a link via email to that person or persons, giving them whatever access I gave them. Now let's follow this scenario. So I'm going to send it as view only. And so I'm not going to send it, but so it would now show up in their list down here, especially if they were showing owned by anyone. It would show up as owned by Wade, but then they have access to it. So they can open it, but they couldn't edit it. But what they can do is just say file, make a copy. And then now they can save that as Michelle's consciousness lecture. And now she can save that. And now she's got her own version. She can edit her version. Doesn't affect my version. My version stays the way I had it. So that's how you can share it with someone that uses Google. questions? No, I threw a lot at you today.
Well, you were going to say something about PDFs, and was that because someone may not have a PowerPoint, but they probably have access to PDFs, or exactly what?
Yeah, I mean, it's a much smaller file. That's one thing. And if all somebody wants to do is look at it or print it out, that's really all they need. A lot of people, in this case, this is what I would do if I was giving something to students, because you might notice that a lot of these slides were from the textbook publisher, and they're all copyrighted. So I can't download the slides because there's a copyright protection. So I can't give these slides out to someone else, but I can give them a PDF, a picture of it.
Well, PDF, what does it stand for? Is anything particular?
Anybody else know? I don't know what PDF, but it's just a printable version. Here, I can do it. Let me do a PDF quickly. We'll download this as a PDF. And I'm going to just go ahead and open it.
Okay.
And there it is. So now it's open this. So I can see all the slides, but I can't do anything with them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a view-only version, but it's not even in PowerPoint. Now the links still work. So that link in the PDF opens, but see, they can't edit anything in here. But that is one of the nice things about a PDF, that there is a link. You can click on the link. So again, my students can watch the slides, the presentations that were in my slide. They just can't edit the document, and it's copyrighted. So I didn't infringe on the copyright by giving those slides away to someone else.
Portable document format, PDF.
Portable document. Okay, I thought PDF was document format, but I didn't know. I wasn't sure if it was printable, but portable.
What is it
Okay,
again?
thank you.
Say it again. What is it again?
Portable, portable as in PORTABLE.
Portable?
And portable, like you can carry it away.
Well, my spelling is not as good as it used to be. So portable, portable what again?
Yeah.
Document.
Document, okay.
Format.
Format, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
It can,
Okay,
can
so
you
we are
use,
out.
is there a way,
One last question.
yeah, I'm trying to find out how you get, like, if you want to put little squigglies in front of your writing here. Let's see how you have the dots. If you wanted to put a little squiggly, how do you put other text there? Where do you find that?
Well, do you want to change what this bullet looks like?
Yes.
So you can do that by coming up here and clicking on this little arrow beside the bullet list. So maybe I want it to be a star instead of a circle. So you can pick from different choices.
Okay.
It may be a little arrow. So they're predefined, but that's easier way. This has got a little arrow instead of the circle. So that's the easiest way to change that.
Yeah, I was looking at, somebody sent me slides and it was cute because they had little squiggly, but I couldn't find the squiggly.
Yeah. Now there's other things you can insert, and this gets into shapes. Let me just do this real quick when we are way over time, but let me do this real quick and then we've got to run. But I'm going to come here and insert a shape. And there's lots of different shapes here. So if I wanted to insert a heart, I can put a heart there in my slide. So there's lots of things you can insert up here in terms of all these shapes. There's all sorts of arrows and call outs and equations and tons of shapes. So that's the other way to get things onto your slide, is in this insert. Okay, so we need to go. We are 1 minute from the end of class, so I have run way over, but there were very good questions. I do need to go into the closing because there's a few things I need to let people know about. So I do want to thank you for attending the class. This is the end of the class itself. I want to go into what's going to happen after class. There will be an email coming out with some class notes. There'll be links in the class notes section of the email to some websites that have some additional information covering some of the things we talked about today and some related information that we didn't cover today about Google Slides. There's a way to recommend the class to a friend. You can do that by posting it on Facebook, posting a link on Facebook, or sending a link via email, whichever you're more familiar with. You can sign up for one of the other classes that we show you on the email. These are, if you want to take one of those classes, just click the link. It'll take you right to the registration page. Click and give feedback brings up the feedback form. 2 questions. How would you rate the class? 1 to 5 stars. Just click on the stars. Rate the guide 1 to 5 stars. Click on the number of stars and send. Place for comments. We appreciate your comments, but they're not required. And then the last thing is to click view schedule. And this will take you to our homepage where you can book another class. We've made a lot of changes here, so I want to show you a couple of things quickly. One, if you click here on the center of the screen, it takes you to your schedule. This shows you everything you've already booked. So you can see what you've booked. You can launch your classes from here. If you're looking for another class, the best way to find it is just to search by name. So if you were looking for, we were talking about PowerPoint, if you're interested in Excel, we have several Excel classes. So you could just click Excel and it'll take you to that class where you can book it. And then the last thing I wanted to show you, which we just brought out last week that a lot of people have been asking for, if there's a guide or maybe several guides that you really like and you want to see what classes they're teaching, now you can just put their name here and hit enter. And in this case, this will show you all the other classes I'm teaching. There's that Excel class right there. It's going to start this afternoon at 4 o'clock Eastern time. So, but these are all the other classes that I'm teaching. So you can see classes by instructor and book another one of their classes if you want to take one of their classes. All right, I am 1 minute over. I do want to thank you all so much for attending and hope you enjoyed the class. And I hope I see another one of my classes really soon.
Okay.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
now.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Wade.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.